It starts with a whisper, the kind that pricks at the edges of your consciousness like a thorn in your mind. I remember the moment vividly. The night my family gathered in the living room, choked with laughter that echoed against my heart. My mother's voice rose above the rest, thick with mockery, as she tossed my research notes aside like so many fragile leaves caught in a storm. "Cursed dendrology? You're going to disgrace us all," she exclaimed, her laughter cutting deeper than any knife. My father nodded, his face a mask of disapproval. My brother chimed in, "You'll lose your mind out there. You know that? You've become a delusional hermit." It was the very essence of betrayal, yet I couldn't waver. My pursuit was not whimsical. It was instinct, a desperate need to unravel the terrifying secrets that lay buried among the whispering trees of our ancestral land. After years of pushing me away, of deriding my passion as insanity, they forced me into exile. And so I took my leave into the shadows of the forest that loomed like an unholy cathedral. Those trees were unlike any I had studied before, their roots tangling and twisting with an unearthly will. I documented their mournful cries, the way they seemed to sigh under the weight of their own cursed knowledge. They were sentient. Hungry, they whispered of souls lost and anguished echoes of those who dared tread too close. I became absorbed, spiraling down into eldritch arboriculture, haunted by the very phenomena that had once made me an outcast. I spent years navigating the darkness, confronting horrors that gnawed at my sanity. There were nights I lay on the forest floor, pressed against the soil, feeling its pulsing heartbeat. I would wake to the sound of roots scratching against the earth, desperate to reach me, to teach me the price of their secrets. I uncovered rituals, dark and twisted, that spoke of sacrifices made long before my family dared to forget their legacy. And yet, it was not the forest that haunted me, it was the memory of their scorn. Eventually, the world began to notice. My findings, once derided, caught fire in the scientific community. I became a warning, not just an expert. I was branded as the one who had been touched by something dark. Recognition came, but it carried the weight of a curse. I returned home, not as the disgrace they had cast me as, but as a vessel of hidden truths, a ghost of the past clad in sorrowful knowledge. The night I stepped back into the house, I felt the familiar sting of betrayal, mixed now with the chill of vindication. My family, still living in the illusion of normalcy, stared at me with a mixture of awe and fear. I was a specter among them, my skin pale, my eyes reflecting the depths of the woods. "You've come back," my mother whispered, trepidation curling around her voice. I nodded, but the words escaped me. There was nothing to explain, only the weight of the truth that they could not yet embrace. "Look at you," my brother said, finally breaking the silence. "You're different. What happened out there?" I hesitated, recalling the secrets I had uncovered, the shadowy entities that roamed the woods, the souls entwined with the roots. Instead of answering, I turned and led them outside. The moon hung heavy in the sky, casting a silvery glow on the trees. "Watch," I murmured, feeling a surge of energy pulse through the air. I positioned my fingers against the bark of the oldest tree, the one that had whispered the darkest truths to me. The moment was electric, and before their eyes, the tree began to shudder and sway, its branches moving in what felt like a macabre dance. The air thickened with an unnatural fog, and the ground trembled beneath our feet. "What is happening?" my father demanded, his voice laced with panic. "Witness it," I said, my heart racing. "Witness the dark knowledge that you ridiculed." From the bark of the tree, shadows began to ooze, twisting and spiraling into forms that flickered to life. Faces emerged, their mouths agape in silent screams, eyes wide with despair. The forest had taken them. They were its lost souls, bound by the roots that hungered for more. As they drifted forward, my family recoiled, eyes filled with horror as they grasped the truth of my journey. The very thing they had deemed ridiculous was now a living nightmare. The tree's roots stretched, reaching toward them, driven by their own disbelief, their own ridicule. "You laughed at me," I screamed, the sound of my anguish ringing through the night. "You made me the outcast while I became the witness." The shadows swirled around my family, pulling them closer, and I felt the bittersweet edge of satisfaction mixed with horror. They were trapped now, ensnared by their own ignorance, the consequences of their ridicule manifesting before them. Their faces twisted in fear as they began to understand. "It's not real," my mother yelled, her voice shaking. But it was all too real. And as the forest tightened its grip, I finally felt a pang of regret. They were not just my family. They were my roots, and watching them suffer made my heart ache. I had sought validation in my vindication, yet here they were, slowly becoming part of the very nightmare they had dismissed. As the shadows closed in, I turned away, knowing I could not save them. The forest had revealed its hunger, and I too had been claimed. I stepped back into the darkness, knowing I was now more than just a witness. I was part of the cursed legacy. The last sound I heard was their screams melding into the wind, as I melted into the embrace of the trees, forever entwined with the roots that had both nourished and cursed my existence. And as their terror echoed in my ears, I understood a truth far deeper than fear. Sometimes ignorance carries the most haunting price.